There are six major Indian philosophical systems, and among the six, Vedanta happens to be one. Further, the Vedanta philosophy has three branches. One is Advaitha Vedanta, as propounded by the 8th century saint Shankara. Then we have Dvaitha philosophy, Dvaitha as propounded by Madhvacharya of 13th century. Then we have in between another philosophy which has been propounded by Saint Ramanujacharya in 11th century, which is called as Visisht Advaitha. So we have total of three branches in the Vedanta philosophy. Advaita is essentially all about non-dualism. Dvaita philosophy is all about the concept of dualism. And the Visisht Advaita propounded by Ramanujacharya is somewhat more of a reconciliation between the two philosophies. If you come to the first philosophy, that is Advaita Vedanta, it was propounded by the famous 8th century philosopher Shankara, we also refer to as Adi Shankaracharya. He talks about the concept of non-dualism, that is, all souls are one and the same as that of universal soul. There is no distinction between an individual soul and the universal soul. That's how the concept of non-dualism has arisen, or we call it the concept of monism. But when it comes to the concept of dualism as propounded by Madhvacharya, now here the philosophy goes on, fundamentally differs from that type of Advaita Vedanta, wherein the concept of dualism is established at fundamental level. That means the individual soul can never merge with the universal soul. That means eternally the devotee and the God are separate. Now, in between these two philosophies, we have the concept of Visisht Advaita, or the so-called qualified non-dualism, proposed by the 11th century saint Ramanujacharya. Incidentally, today I am talking to you from the Statue of Equality in Hyderabad. The statue which you see behind me is that of Saint Ramanujacharya, and I thought it is more appropriate to speak to you all on this such a subject from a place like this. Now let us come before diving deep into the core ideas which I wanted to present to you today. Let me give you a broad understanding of the concept of non-dualism and the concept of dualism, and of course that of qualified non-dualism proposed by Saint Ramanujacharya. As you can understand, the concept of non-dualism is something like, in the words of Swami Vivekananda, let me give you an illustration to make you understand much easier. If God is like a circle, or the universal soul is like a circle, the circumference is infinite. It is nowhere. Since the circumference is infinite, the center is also infinite. If you have to describe a human being is also somewhat akin to the God only. Only the difference is the circumference is infinite, but the center of the circle is at the heart of the individual soul. So both concepts, they propose that whether it is Advaita Vedanta or Dvaita Vedanta, the existence of individual soul and the universal soul. But in the concept of Advaitha Vedanta, essentially there is no difference between the individual soul and the universal soul. They are one and the same. However, Dvaitha Vedanta, that is a concept of dualism, doesn't agree with that. It proposes that at fundamental level, the individual soul can never merge with the universal soul. Now here comes a reconciliation between these two philosophies. And before dwelling into the concept of qualified non-dualism, let me make another disclaimer that my knowledge of teachings of Ramanujacharya are zero. However, I understand my way of thinking is more aligned with this middle path. Perhaps because of this reason, I'm more inspired by the Saint Ramanujacharya. However, as you all can understand, the topic is so vast, so complex, and whatever I'm saying today, whatever I'm trying to convey, is as I understand as on date. Who knows, my ideas may change in the future. It may get, my mind may get transformed in the times to come. But this is what I try to understand as of now. Now, let me dive a little deep and understand what is its relevance for the yoga practitioners. From theoretical point of view, Advaita Vedanta is right. There can't be two infinite beings. The infinite being, the omnipresent everywhere, the God has to be only one. The universal soul got to be only one entity. There is no contradiction there from a theoretical point of view. But when it comes to the point of dualism, there is a problem here. As you all are aware, individual souls, or Atma we call it, have been trapped in the cosmic illusion, or we call it Maya, for millions and millions of years. And from this point, when it comes to the practical point, now when these individual souls are going to finally merge with the universal soul, let's say that an individual has started practicing yoga, finally he has managed to burn down his karma, and he has managed to end this cycle of birth and death. So he is now freed. He is now freed from the cycle of birth and death. But what about this universal, this merger with the universal soul? Now here is the question to be pondered about. After an individual soul has quit the body, no one has ever come back to tell the story as to what has happened to them. Although we have great some few incarnations, divine incarnations, and I don't like to make any comment on them, because from technical point of view, purely, the divine incarnations like Lord Ram or Lord Krishna, they couldn't have taken birth on the planet, or they couldn't have incarnated in a human form. But how it happened, it's very mysterious. Hence, I'd like to not to comment, make any comment on their existence as avatars or the divine incarnations. Now, coming purely from yoga point of view, a soul can dwell in the human body of flesh and blood only as long as the fuel of karma exists. Once the fuel of karma is exhausted, it's just simply not possible for the soul to stay within the confines of the flesh and blood. then what happens? Now the Sanskrit texts have been saying that there is a very thin layer of Maya or the illusion which still exists around them in the form of absolute bliss, or they call it the sheath of bliss, or Anandamaya Kosha in Sanskrit. Now the soul, when it is enveloped by this thin layer of bliss, it is supposed to be in a state of casual form or a casual body, or call it seed body. In Sanskrit they refer to as Karana Sharira. That means it has the potential to be thrown back into the eternal cycle of birth and death by the God anytime. But for time being, it has managed to escape this cycle, and it's now in a casual form. And from here onwards, the final phase of yoga practice is supposed to start. As per the ancient Sanskrit text, there is a technique called as Shambhavopai, or the technique of Shambhavi, which is used by the soul to achieve its final merger with the universal soul, or as it starts evolving spiritually. Now, from here onwards, what happens to the journey of the individual soul is a very lesser known subject. However, I would like to draw your attention to certain indicators from the ancient Sanskrit texts. For example, we have been hearing of great sages who lived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, who lived in various yugas. For example, if you see sage Parshuram, he was very much there during the time of Ramayana, and he was very much there in the time of Mahabharata. Same with Jambavan, he was there very much in the time of Ramayana, and he was very much present during the time of Mahabharata. Similarly, many more sages who have been always existing. Now, the point to understand is, if they have been liberated from the cycle of birth and death, what have been they doing? Now, here is the most important thing and crucial thing to understand. As we know that the final phase of their spiritual evolution begins after they have managed to quit the cycle of birth and death. Now, that may be taking them millions and millions of years again. Yes, from the earthly point of view, it is millions and millions and millions of years for us. But when they are in a state of casual form, they don't have the idea of space and time. So for them, it must be quite easy to continue their existence. Then what happens thereafter? Now we have indicators that they may take up celestial form as planets or stars, etc. We have examples of how the northern pole star Dhruv has become immortal. And there is another example from Mahabharata I can quote. When Arjuna was being taken to heaven in the chariot of Indra for procuring the divine missiles, Arjuna points out to the charioteer Matali and asks him a question. He points at brilliant, radiant balls of fire which are in the distance in the space, and he inquires as to what they are. To this, Matali replies, saying that they are great sages, but however, they must be appearing to you on the earth like stars. So see, now this has a profound implication. That means all the stars which we see in the sky may not be a part of, or may not be an independent or individual world systems with planets around them. See, from this point of view, our star, that is Sun, with the planetary system around it, now should we consider it as a world system? When we consider it as a world system, we are now referring to one Brahmand. Brahmand is essentially the body of God in the form of creator, Lord Brahma, or call it Brahmand as the egg of Brahma, in the shape of an egg. There is one world system which is the body of the Lord Brahma, whom we consider as God as in the form of creator, and a human being, of course, as we all are aware, is Pindanda, that microcosm, a miniature version of the world system. If this be the case, should we understand that our solar system is the Brahmand? Because it has to match with the ancient Sanskrit texts also here. Because ancient Sanskrit texts, they say that there are 14 planes of existence in a Brahman, with Lord Brahma sitting on the uppermost plane of existence, with our earth starting from the top, it is supposed to be the seventh. Starting from top, it is supposed to be the seventh. Somewhere in the middle is the earthly plane of existence, or we call it Bhuloka, where humans dwell. Then below Bhuloka, we are supposed to be having 7 more planes of existence. So therefore, all the 14 planes of existence have got to be part of this Brahman. When we say that there is a solar system, is a Brahman. Then we have other things, like for example, all ancient texts have been harping about the various planetary gods. Planet Saturn, planet Jupiter is supposed to be the guru for the gods. So therefore, when we say that our solar system is Brahman, and when we have a look at all these planets, and then we have the gods of various elements, like the wind god, you see, wind god, and the son of wind god Hanumanji is supposed to be the future creator, or the fire god. So when we take these various individual 5 elements and their representative gods, so the entire thing is existing within the confines of a solar system. So therefore, should we assume that our solar system is Brahman, with a human being the Pindand, or should we consider our galaxy, that is Milky Way galaxy, with so many stars, as the Brahman? Then it is not actually matching properly. And mind you, again, in a world system, there are supposed to be various sages who have assumed the form of various stars, like we have the Saptarishis in the constellation of Great Bear. All the 7 sages are supposed to be basically in a radiant form there. And we have the northern polar star, supposed to be the sage Dhruv. And similarly, various other great sages who have assumed the form of stars. And we all know that in our solar system, we have only one star. So when we take a world system into consideration, or a Brahman into consideration, we got to be having all these various sages who are in the form of radiant beings, and we also got to have a planetary system with vibrant human life, or the vibrant earthly life. then we can say that it is all one Brahman. So what I understand, and going by the indicators which we have in the various Sanskrit texts, is that if we consider our solar system along with the other various stars around it as one Brahman, it's fitting the bill. Further, now what about the people may ask, what about the galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy? Maybe we can compare it with Jagannath, the Lord of world systems. That's why he's called Jagannath, Lord Vishnu. What if we assume that, as if every student, every one of you are aware in modern times, that there are at least 400 billion stars within our Milky Way galaxy alone. Even if you assume that a few stars along with one particular sun is a world system, that means we have so many world systems within our galaxy alone. And we also keep hearing about the Lord Padmanabha, or Lord Vishnu in the form of Padmanabha, from whose navel new world systems continuously keep arising and keep disintegrating into. Or should we consider the massive black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy as the navel of Lord Vishnu? Yes, if we try to, for a while, if you try to compare it, it is actually matching. It's perfectly matching the bill. If this be the case, now all these individual souls who somehow manage to get out of the cycle of birth and death, they are continuously evolving spiritually. Some of them, they may be assuming the celestial forms. Some of them may become the representatives of the physical elements like wind, fire, water, etc. That means no one has ever merged with the universal soul as such. The timelines are gigantic. We don't know, if you see our own solar system and the Milky Way galaxy, the timelines are billions of years. Continuously, even as we speak, new star systems are being born, old star systems are being dying down. It is something like on a dark night, when you look at a flock of fireflies, how the fireflies, they keep shining and they keep getting switched off. Maybe we will see a similar kind of a situation. Now, here is the concept of the dualism, the validity of Dvaitha Vedanta sets in. That means, while it is maybe theoretically possible to achieve that final merger with the universal soul, as propounded by the Saint Shankara in Advaitha Vedanta, but for all practical purposes, the dualism or the Dvaitha Vedanta is very much valid, because the timelines are gigantic, billions and billions and billions of years. So does it make any sense that no, there is Advaita Vedanta, theoretically it should be, there is nothing known as dualism? Because the timelines involved are so vast, it doesn't make any sense actually now. Because even the various great sages who assumed the form of stars, celestial bodies, or even for that matter, the bodies of galaxies like Lord Vishnu, now they themselves have not merged with the universal soul. What to speak of ordinary human beings like me? There is no final merger with the universal soul for any one of them. The timelines are too vast. From this point, let me also give you the small story from Devi Bhagavatam, one of the ancient Sanskrit texts. Long ago, all the Trinity, that is Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, they happened to visit the supreme cosmic power, Parashakti, on an islet. She is supposed to be dwelling in an islet called the Islet of Gems or Mani Dweep. And where is it located? It is supposed to be, it is described as located at a place after countless, I repeat, after countless world systems and far away from all of them, on an islet of gems, she is supposed to be residing. So all these three gentlemen, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu, they pay a visit to her. Because when we talk about the supreme cosmic power, or the when we from the point of energy worshippers, we now consider the supreme cosmic power in female form. So when they will go to the islet of gems, she takes them in a fast-moving craft to show them the universe around or the cosmos around. And to their surprise, to whichever part of the cosmos they go, they see a similar set of trinity, triplets, the same type, similar looking Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva present everywhere. That means the entire cosmos is now been distributed between a set of triplets. Wherever they go, they find the same concept. Now, in such a scenario, where is the final merger with the universal soul? When it will happen? Will it ever happen? Or eternally they exist? As we all understand, for Lord Vishnu, the time it takes to wink itself is only a supposition, it is not a practical idea. So, from this point of view, Dvaitha Vedanta is perfectly correct. But from theoretical point of view, Advaita Vedanta is also correct. So, therefore, what's the point in debating between these two extremes? Perhaps the great saint of the 13th century, 11th century, was hinting at this. Long ago, my Guruji has narrated a beautiful story about Saint Ramanuja. Once upon a time, his Guru gave him a very powerful mantra, and he told him that by chanting that mantra, great benefit will accrue to him. And as per the yogic traditions, when a mantra is given by a Guru, it is not supposed to be revealed by the disciple to anyone else. Whereas Ramanuja Acharya is supposed to have gone and climbed onto a temple and called all the people of the village around him and loudly narrated that mantra to everyone. And people questioned him, how could you have done such a thing? You are not supposed to reveal the mantra given by your Guru. Saint Ramanuja, it seems he has replied, saying that if at all any harm has to come to me, it will only be me. But if the mantra is so beneficial, so many people are going to get benefited by that mantra. What is my life in front of so many others' lives? So, such were the beautiful concepts propounded by Saint Ramanujacharya, and he popularly is supposed to be the one responsible for opening up of temples to all castes. In ancient times, olden days in India, only the upper classes or upper castes were allowed to enter into the temples. The lower castes were never allowed inside the temples. Whereas Saint Ramanujacharya believed that God is meant for everyone. So therefore, temples are also meant for everyone. And everyone has a right to enter the temple and worship the God. So he advocated this idea of opening up the temples for all. And from that point of view, he was more of he fought for the social justice of the humanity. That's all I wanted to speak to you today about the concept of Advaitha Vedanta, Dvaitha Vedanta, and Visisht Advaitha Vedanta propounded by Saint Ramanujacharya. And I couldn't have found a better place than this, that is the statue of equality, to explain this thing to you. And as I said in the beginning itself, whatever I have told you is purely my view, and my own understanding has also been constantly evolving. Who knows, it may undergo through much more transformation in the years to come. But as of now, this is what I have to understand about this. In a nutshell, debating about the concepts of Advaita Vedanta, Dvaita Vedanta, or the concepts of non-dualism, dualism, and qualified non-dualism, all this is not going to be of any benefit to the yoga practitioners, because all are right, all are saying the same thing. From one is right from theoretical point of view, one is from true saying the same thing from the practical point of view, and someone else is trying to reconcile between both the extremes. For a yoga practitioners, this academic debate is of no use, and what you should focus on is trying to free yourself from the cycle of birth and death. First, you free yourself from the cycle of birth and death. When we get there, we will deal with these philosophies at the time, not now. When we manage to quit the cycle of eternal birth and death, which is possible only by burning down all your karma, we will deal with these three concepts that time. Till then, goodbye. Wish you all the best.